Tease. Hey, it's Lady Triple. What's up?
Brawlhalla!
Oh, hello. What's up, squad? Yeah.
It is Wednesday, March 11th, and round one of A Song of Madness 2020 is officially in the books. If you are just joining us, we did cover the first 4 days of the tournament in our last episode. You can find that on our YouTube channel or in your podcast stream. Go give us a listen. Today, we will be covering days 5 through 8 of the tournament. We're going to take a look back at the top performing individuals and houses from the tournament and read some of our favorite tweets from around the fandom. Before we jump in, I did just want to give a big thank you right off the top here of the episode to Matt and Scad from Davos Fingers. I know we've said this before, but thank you guys so much for everything you put into the fandom. All throughout the year and especially during this tournament. It takes a lot of time and energy, and we here at the Blood of the Podcast certainly appreciate it. Before we do jump into the rest of the episode, I'm going to throw it over to Christina. We're getting into the stats here of the tournament today. Guys, we're starting to get to them really. So, Christina, I'm going to throw it over to you, and you can take us on our first real stats breakdown here.
Woohoo. Yeah. So I spent a great amount of time today doing the stats for you guys. We have a few things that we're calculating, so I just wanted to go over it really quickly, just so hopefully everyone can understand it. It's really not too complicated of math things, lots of averages, subtraction, multiplication. Mm-hmm. Not too hard, but obviously they're tools and I know how to wield them. So so we have a few things that we're looking at. Overall we have the percents for each people. And again, it's just, two choices. So everything adds to 100%. So we have a percentage of votes. From there, we have the total number of votes cast. So we can multiply, the percentage by the number of votes cast and get an approximation for how many people voted for each person. Mm-hmm. Just multiplication. So from there, we can rank them by, who has the highest percentage ranking. But also what we can do with the average number or with the votes is we can figure out who has the highest number of votes, just total votes. I think that's going to be an interesting metric to look at this year. And from that, we also have a ranking on the number of votes, and they're not the same. So I think that might be a bigger indicator. I'm not sure, though, how it's going to play out, and I'm just playing with all this stuff at first. But we do have a number of vote rank and a percentage rank. And also in the breakdown, we're going to be talking about average margin of victory in percents or numbers. And, that's just how much either by number of votes or percentage, one character won over another. This will come into play later in later rounds because as you move through the bracket, these things stabilize or the numbers kind of stabilize and you can kind of make predictions based on that. But that's for like round 3+. Right now, we're just looking at the numbers and thinking about what we're going to do. So from that, I've been able to look at how the different houses are doing. So right now, and again, the sample sizes are super small. I tweeted this table out. We've got Starks are the top. So their average rank is 12, which is pretty high. Just comparing to like Greyjoy is number 29. So 12 is very high. There's 64 people in the first round.
Right.
The average percent. Yeah. The average percent of the average percent just winning percent, not the margin, but just like the average of what if you had just House Stark, their average percent is 77. And as far as number of votes, their rank is 9, which is also very high. And this is just average out of all the characters. So there's not really like a number one here. And then their average number of votes is 1422 per character. Greyjoy their average percent rank is number 29. Their average percent is 55. Their voting rank is 24, and the average number of votes is 1,071. And Targaryen, somebody asked this on Twitter, their average percent is 51, and the average number of votes is 922. So if you look at that versus 1,422, the Starks do have a big advantage there. And Lannister, again, I counted Joffrey, so sorry.
Yeah,
I put
bit
Joffrey.
of a drag him down.
Well, it's Joffrey, Davin, and Cersei. So we don't have Jaime, Tyrion. We don't have Tywin right now.
Right.
So right now for the Lannisters, they're number 50 on the average percent, number 43 on the average vote. The average percent is 26, which is thanks Joffrey and Davin. And the average number of votes is 596. And then I also did an analysis on A Song of Ice and Fire characters that don't show up in the show or are not prominent enough, but usually they're just not in the show. People from the histories, so that's Dunk and Egg, Fire and Blood, World of Ice and Fire, and Game of Thrones. I say Game of Thrones just because it's people who are in the show. Obviously, the people who are in Game of Thrones, so they're average number of votes is 1,034. The A Song of Ice and Fire is second at 804 average votes per character, and the histories is 738 average votes per character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really good stuff. And it makes sense too, because a lot of the most important characters show up in Game of Thrones, right? So no surprise there. But yeah, it is really cool to see the breakdown. And, we're going to continue tracking those metrics as we move forward through the tournament, and we'll see kind of what we see. And then I think year to year as well, seeing how these things change over time. That's why I wish we had been doing this for, since the first year. But we are excited to be doing it now. Anything else on our stats breakdown? That was an excellent job. Trips.
Thanks. I hope it's not just a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo at this point. But just stay tuned till the end of the episode. We have our first round characters ranked. So that will be exciting.
Yeah, I like breaking down those too. Let's jump on into day 5 here. So it's our second half of round 1 here. We started off, we had Baelor Breakspear versus Marwyn the Mage. And in this one, no surprise, I liked this matchup. Baelor did take it, 64.2%. I had 985 votes. He did win with a margin of 28.4%. So pretty healthy margin against, Marwyn the Mage. I think is a really interesting character, one people are at least relatively familiar with. And then we had a tweet in from @Nightly. His name is Baelor for a reason.
That's really cute.
Yeah.
I'm actually a Marwyn stan. Sorry.
I voted Marwyn too.
I know, just the fact that he was the one that trained Mirri Maz Duur. He's doing weird stuff. I don't know. I'm into the mysterious characters. I've learned. I stan them. So sorry, Marwyn.
I liked Marwyn too. Next, we did have a tweet from our friend Igel Cotton Scamp, but first I just wanted to quickly address something from our previous episode. Igel direct messaged me to inform me that I had incorrectly identified them on the episode, referring to them as a she, when it's clearly indicated on their page that they identify as they, them. They're very kind about it, just letting me know that, I had made a mistake, and we had a good conversation. They gave me permission to make a public correction, so just wanted to address it here. Everyone has a seat at our table, and this is a safe space for people to be happy and enjoy each other, right? So we all just have to treat people with kindness, and that's what we aim to do here on the podcast. So I did want to make a public correction about that. We're really enjoying your cat tweets, though, Igel. This tournament's pretty much going to turn into who is going to watch your cats, I think, is going to be the winner of the tournament. So they said, gotta go.
Can I watch your cat?
Yeah, vote between Trips and Dent. I would vote Trips. But they did say that on this one, they had to go with Baelor to watch my cat. He's a deeply empathetic person who is willing to sacrifice himself so others can live. Marwyn is an interesting character, but I wouldn't trust him to take care of a cat. He might experiment on her or just forget about her because he's busy. And that's probably true. I probably wouldn't give my cat to Marwyn. That could lead to all sorts of mischief. So definitely liked that one. Next round, Baelor will face Bloodraven. And I know Baelor is perfect, but I think Bloodraven's going to take him out in that one.
I hope so.
Yeah. Me as well. In our next matchup, we had Sir Bronn versus Sir Hyle Hunt. Kind of an interesting matchup. I didn't really know who to vote for here. I voted for Hyle Hunt. I think there could be some interesting things in his storyline to come up with Brienne and Jaime. But Braun did prevail with 28.2% margin. He got 1,136 votes, a 64.1% of the vote. So no surprise. I mean, you mentioned earlier these show characters, right, and how many votes they're getting compared to, a tertiary character like Kyle Hunt. No surprise here, right?
Yeah, and Braun, as far as the ranking goes on number of votes with 1,136, he was number 22 on the ranking. So.
Oh yeah, kind of. So out of victors, we had 32 victors, so 22 kind of middle-ish of the pack there. So yeah, we'll be going through that as well. And then we did have a tweet from Lizen Arbor. So that's Chloe from Girls Gone Canon who tweeted, "Look, Braun also sucks eggs, but if I ever vote Kyle Hunt, you'll know I've been kidnapped and someone has my accounts."
That's good.
So that's a good one. So watch out for that, Chloe. That's her if she's ever been kidnapped. Next round, Braun will face Melisandre. I think Melisandre is going to dunk on Braun.
Oh, I hope so. I mean, again, I love Mel.
I do too.
I wish she could win. I wish I lived in a world where she could win.
I don't think that one's going to be close. Mel's, I don't know. Mel's really interesting. Yeah, I'm really excited to see I think we're going to get more run wins too, but yeah, we'll see. We then had Corin Halfhand versus Strong Belwas. Corin took this one. This was kind of like the first surprise of this episode for us, right? That we built out. I thought Belwas, he's got a very strong contingent of followers, and Corin, while a very cool character, and serves as one of those father figures for Jon, and I like Corin. Don't get me wrong. I'm not talking shit about Corin. Please don't at me. I just thought Belwas would, be closer here. Didn't you?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised with how much it was. I thought it would be kind of a toss-up at least, but
yeah, and it really wasn't actually even this close. It kind of crawled back to being this close. It was further than this a lot of the day.
Well, it's like, would you rather have somebody eat locusts for you or let you stab them in the heart?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. What a Corin Halfhand. Weird guy, huh? I like Corin Halfhand. I do really enjoy, people talk about all the time, he's potentially like a parallel for Jaime. Not even a parallel, but just, foreshadowing for maybe what's going to happen to Jaime if he goes to the wall. And, he learned how to wield a sword with his offhand after losing a few of his fingers. Seems like that could be foreshadowing towards Jaime. George was working it out with this other character, Corin Halfhand. I could see that happening. So I like that thought. We did also have a really good tweet, and we should say the margins here. Corin had 59.6% of the vote, so he won by a 19.6% margin, got just over 1,000 votes. He was 31 in total votes gained out of 32 victors, so probably not looking great for Corin next round against Stannis. Yeah, You've predicted Stannis is going to win the tournament, so you have to think Corin's in trouble there. Huh?
I'm standing hella hard this year, so I'm trying to get. Well, I may or may not have the Stannerman anthem that I'll hold on to. I know, guys. I kind of wrote the Stannerman anthem, and Brian and I did, and we'll release it. If he makes it, if he beats Bobby B, I don't know. It depends. It depends how well he's doing. But we're gonna release it, at the right time. We've got a couple Stannis songs though, but I think we're gonna wait.
You'll release it if he's losing to Bobby.
That's
B.
the thing.
You gotta wait for the right time.
Yeah, we're working on Litbringers is working on a lot of stuff, but we're trying to figure out when to release stuff, and it's really difficult. But yeah, just know, guys, the more you vote Stannis, the more content we'll be bringing you, and we will blacklist all of his opponents.
That's how you do it. I got a couple tricks up my sleeve still I'm holding on to. We'll see.
Yeah, no, the madness is all about tricks. And sorry, I'm going to open a LaCroix. I'm opening a LaCroix for Stannis.
Very nice. We did have a good tweet thread from Eliana, Glass Table Girl from Girls Gone Canon. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it was a very long thread about Belwas, but it was really good where she was just talking about how, I think Belwas is looked at as a non-complex character, and she just went through a lot of really interesting points talking about, how Belwas fits into the story, how he's depicted with his relationship to slavery, sexuality, masculinity, and public perception as a whole. And these are the kind of things I really love about both this series and this tournament is you get these thoughts from people about characters that they care about. And it's really interesting to see how deep somebody can go on a character that they really enjoy. And I know Eliana's been pushing for Belwas for a long time. So sorry, friend, that he wasn't able to get a victory this year. I really thought he was going to. I voted. It's in the doc. You can see I voted for him here. So I was supporting, but we'll see how he does next round against Stannis. We then had one of my more favorite matchups of the tournament, and I know Lady Triple yours. We had Cersei and Rhaegar. Do you want to take this one here?
Sure. Well, my girl Cersei won. She won with 1,372 votes versus Rhaegar's 1,241. So, only 131 votes or 5% difference here.
That was close.
And I have to say, there was just a lot of voting happening here because Cersei, out of total votes, she's number 9. Rhaegar's number 15. This was a really tense matchup, and hell yeah, Cersei won.
Yeah, if this
it was all me. It was all me.
If this was a boxing match, this was a 10 round. This had 2,600 votes in it, which is one of our higher voting totals of the tournament. So yeah, people were out for this one. Your video dropped on this one, which was really funny. I've had Avril Lavigne stuck in my head since then. But sorry, world. But Cersei's now on a winning streak. This is back-to-back years. She has gotten a victory. Last year, she beat Mance Rayder, my boy, by 4%. This year, narrow victory, 2.5% against Rhaegar. I did notice I just put this in here, 2 years in a row, she lost to Beric Dondarrion, back-to-back years, which random. But anyway, she's on to the next round against Jon. She'll probably lose that matchup.
Yeah,
but
I would imagine.
I think there will be some interesting discourse to people making a push for Cersei because people are starting to get. It's not quite showing up in the data because the Starks are still doing well, but I think people are starting to get annoyed with their Stark overlords, if you will. So we'll see. I think Jon will win that matchup, though, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, unfortunately. We had a couple funny tweets here from Cyril Woodcock. A Song of Madness is exposing Jaime Lannister's sexual fantasies, thus referring to our next round matchup of Arthur Dayne and Brynden Tully, which is funny how that matchup lines up. And then Matthew at Dayroth tweeted at you, actually, how you learned so much about your friends during A Song of Madness, referring to your video in which you repeat the lines, "I'm fucking A-okay with incest."
Yeah, you know what? My parents saw this. And I'm thinking like, oh my God, well, this is why you have fake Twitter names, people. I'm not, surprisingly, my given name is not Lady Triple. So, it just allows you to be yourself a little bit more comfortably.
This will be, when you run for president in a couple years, this will be on a billboard somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to be a senator, right? Yeah. Or maybe I am. Maybe I could be now.
You certainly could be. Yeah, absolutely. That was our last day 5 matchup there. Moving on to day 6, our first one. We had Duncan the Tall. Oh boy, this was a beatdown. Duncan the Tall versus Joffrey Waters. There was discourse over Joffrey's bastard name going on. He was getting absolutely shellacked by Duncan the Tall, who got 92.2% of the vote in this. He had, by our count, one vote shy of 1,600 votes. Yeah, and that was only out. There were only 1,734 votes in this matchup, and he almost got 1,600 of them. Joffrey only managed 134, so that was second to last in our total votes.
And Dunk. So actually, this puts Dunk at number 1 for just total number of votes that a character could get, which is, obviously skewed by the opponent. So, I'm looking forward to see how this metric works in later rounds when we start averaging out. Because I think like total number of votes that might help predict things. But
yeah. I think total number of votes moving forward, because we have a lot of rounds left, guys. It feels like rounds 1 and 2 go very long, but it's going to speed up, and we'll have more. We're going to end up having more rounds. And I think total number of votes is going to be a good indicator because what's going to happen is yes, Dunk has a very high like total on average per round, but if he loses next round, then he's out, and we're not really looking at that anymore as an indicator of who's going to win because of course he's lost. So yeah, he does have a very heavy margin going forward. Interesting matchup with Danny coming up. Dunk does. I think it could potentially be close, but I think Danny's gonna pull out and win that one.
I think so too, but it scares me a
It
bit,
scares me a bit too.
especially in the business of predicting here. I don't like being wrong, so
Yeah, in Dunk's. I mean, look, I love Dunk. Dunk's a lovable character. I love his stories, but I I'll probably vote for Danny in this. But I think it could end up being close. Like I could see this being anywhere between the margin of like a 60-40 vote. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But it'll be interesting if Danny comes out and wins it a lot. But in this one, we had a couple funny tweets too. At Mike Bird's Words tweeted that this poll has nearly as many replies as Joffrey has votes. That's pretty cool, and I think that's true actually.
I know. It's funny that people were coming out and being like, I didn't realize the waters that was Joffrey Baratheon. Like I would have changed my vote. It was an accident. Like people were
I think
Joffrey it was anonymous. You didn't have to say anything, but I love that people owned up to it.
I think he got more votes because he had waters on it than if he had Baratheon. I think it helped him.
I did. Oh yeah, no, I put him as a Lannister in my countdown. It was funny because I told Brian that. He's like, "What are you talking about? He's Baratheon." And I'm like, "But why was his sigil dual? Why did his sigil have a lion on it? Name one other king." And then I go, "Besides Stannis." The only reason he did that was because of the traitor Renly.
The usurper, anyway. Renly Baratheon.
Oh, hate him. Well. Yeah. Yeah, next. I'm going to make everything about Stannis. It's going to be great.
All right. Let's keep forward. We'll see. Our next matchup, Missandei versus Devin Lannister, however you want to say it. Missandei pulled away big time on this one. She got 81.5% of the votes, received 1,234 votes. That put her at 16 in total votes had. Margin, she got 63%, had a 63% margin over Davin. So I think Davin just is a very lesser known character. He's mentioned in the books and we see him in a couple of scenes, but people just don't have that connection to him like they do Missandei. And especially from both the books and show, Missandei's in them quite a lot. She's Dany's right-hand girl. So no surprise here. That's who I voted for. Next round, Missandei will go against Nimble Dick.
No.
I'm curious.
Missandei.
I'm curious to see, like, how strong the Nimble Dick support comes out. Because it's been all theory now. Like, how are people going to come back a year after Nimble Dick of last year? Are they going to come out and Nimble Dick's going to win this vote, like 90-10, or is it going to be close and people are going to be worried? You know what I mean?
I guess it depends on how many alt accounts everybody has.
Yeah, really. My 10 Nimble Dick alt accounts?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I feel like Nimble Dick is just a legend now. I don't know. It's like...
He's the legend of the tournament. I mean, he's a legend.
I hope he doesn't... I hope he doesn't, like, pull a Clegane Bowl and just, like, peter out.
I know. I like, if he, like, lost this matchup or something, that would be heart-wrenching.
Well, I feel like the hype for Clegane Bowl was so much better than the payoff.
Yeah.
And that this might be a similar thing. But you know what? I want to be pleasantly surprised. I want the hype to...
Nimble Dick's going to be interesting in our stat breakdown, too, because he's, like, an anomaly. He's not, like, a Stark or anything like that. He's just, like, a fandom legend that I think is... Like, I think he could go anywhere from having this matchup be really close and losing next round to I think he could make the Final Four, So, like, I have no idea.
You really think he can make that? I don't think he can.
I think he can make the Final Four. Oh, I want to...
I forget who he could potentially... No, I think he could face Mel after that. And I'm like, okay, that's where I draw my line.
I think he could beat Mel. You'll vote Mel?
What? I draw my... Yeah, I would. I'm sorry.
Why?
Because I started reading before I met all of you guys. And I'm loyal.
You're loyal to real characters that mean things to the story that aren't.
Yes, I love Mel. Get
I do
out of
too.
here.
I
I feel
know.
like there's a threshold where you're like, okay, I'll throw this person out for Nimble Dick, but like when he comes up against, your Johnsa or whatever,
Yeah.
What are you gonna pick?
Yeah, we'll see. Our next matchup, I'm worried about Nimble Dick a little bit, but I think he could make it. Next matchup, we had Marjorie Tyrell versus Quaith. Marjorie won 69.9% of the vote. She got 1,179 votes, which put her in 19th place for total votes had. Margin, she won by 39.8% of the margin against Quaith. People hate Quaith. That's really what it comes down to. I'm sorry, Shara C-Star.
I know. I was actually gonna release my rap, but I forget what happened. No, the Cersei video happened. It was like one or the other. I'm not. I don't have a production team behind me, so
you could never tell.
Sorry, guys. Next week. Next year.
Marjorie,
it could have been next week if you voted for her.
Yeah. Oh, there was one really funny tweet that we had here. To choose Quaith, you must vote Marjorie.
I know, that made me feel better.
Just enacting Quaith's words to Dany from a Storm of Swords to go north, you must go south, yada yada. I thought that was a good tweet. That was really funny. That was from Amy Gatehouse. Good tweet from Sam there. Next round, Marjorie is versus Duran Martell. That could be close. I think that could be close.
Really? I think Marjorie's gonna.
I think she could. Well, I think she could win as the underdog. Yeah, if you want to call her the.
Really, you think that's gonna be an underdog?
Duran had a pass.
Is that because of the Hot Wheels?
Yeah, the Hot Wheels, the Duanis Hot Wheels account coming for you.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. I see that. All right. So next we have
the Damon Bowl.
Yes. No. That's next. But the next.
What? Oh, you were saying who she would fight next, play next.
No, I'm saying the next matchup.
The next matchup is you're right. That's different Daemons. Our next matchup was Daemon Targaryen, the Rogue Prince from Fire and Blood versus Glendon Ball. This one had ended up getting 1,900 total votes. Daemon did win 61.3% of the vote. I'll be interested to see when House of the Dragon comes out, how he's depicted. I think there's going to be tons of discord over this character. Glendon Ball is just not as known, unfortunately. I think 38.7% of the vote for him was actually pretty impressive. I know it's against Daemon, who a lot of people hate. I don't particularly like him myself. He received the 20th most votes. He won by a 22.6% margin. And then next round is the Daemon Bowl. So he moves on against Daemon Blackfire. So the Daemons. I don't know on that one. I kind of think like Daemon Blackfire is like a more historic name, I suppose, but we actually have more written about Daemon the Rogue Prince. So I'm not sure who's going to win that one. Do you have any inclination who you would guess?
You know what? I think it's going to come down to the comments. Who has the better comments?
It'll come down to the comments.
It does.
It'll probably be like 50-50, honestly.
People are just like, what?
People just won't know. Moving on to day 7 here, we did have Howland Reed versus Courtney Penrose. Howland Reed took this one away, 80.2% of the vote. He got 1,412 votes. That was 7th most, so good for you, Howland. I guess people don't like Courtney Penrose. I think he's an all right guy. Nothing wrong.
Well, finally, we get a mysterious character for the win.
Yeah, I'm fulfilling your quota.
Finally, I know. Yeah. So he was number 7 in terms of total votes, which I like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very high. But he's facing Aemon, Maester Aemon next time, which like. Maester Aemon just gets my heartstrings. Like I was crying like a little baby with the egg. I dreamed I was old.
I know.
Like that just gets me so hard. I can't vote against Aemon.
Aemon does very well in this tournament in the early rounds because the only way that he loses is he goes up against somebody that people really, really care about. You're not voting against Maester Aemon unless you really like have to. You know what I mean? And I love Howland Reed. I think we've never actually seen him, but I don't think that the Reeds are going to be able to pull it out in that one. I think Aemon's going to win. He's a show character. All the metrics would have you believe he's going to win. I think he's going to win that one kind of big, probably 65+% of the vote, 70% of the vote. That'd be my guess.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. We did have a tweet from Orcs of Winterfell. Orcs love Winterfell right now. One of our favorites out there. He said, "We orcs, hold on. We orcs have rules, and one of those rules is to vote for an orc if there isn't a better option. We're happy to vote for the Bog Goblin Halrond Reed." I didn't know where the tweet was going. I forgot.
He is such a bog goblin. I love it.
Uh-huh. That was a good one. Always love your orcs. Our next matchup, interesting one. I'm glad how it turned out, too. We had Shay versus Hizdar zo Loraq. Shay pulled away with this one, 69.6% of the vote. She had 1,082 total votes, which was 25th. This was kind of 1,500 votes on the lower end of total votes for a matchup. Hizdar, I don't like Hizdar. There are certain aspects of the histories of Meereen that I do find interesting because it's a very ancient and old culture, but I don't like Hizdar personally. I don't know many who do. Apparently 30.4%. I know Shay is also a figure people go back and forth on, but I was glad to see Shay get out of this round. How about yourself?
Yeah, true. I have to say it's really interesting to me because I think both of these portrayals, they're really different in the show.
Yeah, I agree.
Versus the book. So it's interesting to see how those matchups work, especially with this subset of people. And this one, I really wasn't sure where it was going to go because, do people feel disdain for Shay or not? And look at where we are. And now next round is going to be Shay versus Petyr Baelish, which, I don't know. I mean, there are some Baelish stans out there, so.
Yeah, this could be one of those, like Shay could be in the third round, though. I think that's possible. This is in the players bracket, though, and I think that's the way people are going to push that narrative to say, you might hate Baelish, but he was a good player, and I guess that's true, right? Like, he does manipulate a lot of different things. Shay, somebody caught it on Twitter the other week that they mentioned Shay never actually uses Tyrion's name one single time throughout the series, and I double-checked this as well. I can't remember the user. I'm so sorry.
Wait, Brian said that to you.
Was it Brian?
Yes.
It might have been Brian. If it was Brian, yes. Shay's Brian. Dialogue is in her dialogue. She never says, "No, I said this to Brian."
Oh, dang it. You're right.
I heard him. Anyway.
Sorry, Brian tells me so much.
I know. I can't remember where I hear anything from. As far as I'm concerned, I made all of it up. So
yeah, of course you did.
So this was from me. No, it wasn't. It was from somebody much smarter than me on Twitter, I'm sure. But yeah, interesting.
It came through the signal of the tinfoil on your head. Yeah.
Every night before I go to bed, I put the tinfoil on, pray for a little bit, and I just learn things. But yeah, next round will be interesting. Pat Sponogle, another one of our favorites here, said, "Let's keep Shay around a bit, if only to irritate Tywin Lannister, but we should commit to supporting her later too. If you can't do that, you might as well vote for Zo Loraq, you meanies." That's always nice. So,
don't be a meanie, guys.
Don't be a meanie. Don't do it. Actually, don't. Be nice to people on Twitter, guys. Our next matchup, we had the King's Moot. Funny how these ones line up, isn't it? Asha Greyjoy versus Euron Greyjoy. We talked about this one actually in our preview episode with Matt and Scad, and it wasn't as close as we thought it would be. Asha ended up getting 68% of the vote, 1,400 total votes, which was 32nd among winners. Is that accurate? I'll have to check that. I'll check it. But she got 1,400 total votes. She won with a margin of 36%. I thought this one would be really close, and it really wasn't, right?
Yeah, it was not. Actually, she's number 6.
She's number 6. Haha.
Yeah. Haha. I know. I was like, wait 1 second. I
was like, wait a minute. That sounds like a lot of votes.
So she did quite well. Put my elbow on the keyboard.
That's
yeah. So she was number 6, and Euron. You know what? I voted for Euron. I voted for Book Euron because he was done dirty.
Yeah. What?
But I gotta say, I was impressed with how well the Greyjoys are doing. And when I did my house analysis, I did have a sample size of 4, which is, more than the Lannisters, less than the Targaryens, same amount as the Starks, but, they were less than the Starks, which is expected. But I do have to say, like, as far as the Greyjoys in round 1, we had 4 solid Greyjoys. So,
we did.
just thinking about them, like how well written they are, even though they're kind of, I guess, when you think about them, like they're not really, you don't really think of them as like I don't know, like a super
popular,
I guess. I mean, they do have their fans, but I guess you can't deny that the characters, at least in the book world, are, very, very deep and interesting and intriguing. So
yeah, I find them very intriguing. Yeah, especially especially later in the books. The more we move into the books, I think he's quite interesting, and he's going to play a very pivotal role. Forsaken, of course, if you've read that chapter, shit's coming with Euron Greyjoy. Matt did make the point in our preview episode, Asha has very loyal fans, and you saw it here, 68% of the vote, and it wasn't really ever close. Even right off the bat, she jumped out to it. So yeah, Asha does move on. Tough matchup next week for Asha against Jaime Lannister. I know there's some discord around Jaime with the end of the show. I think Jaime's still going to make a late push into this tournament, personally.
Yeah, me too. How can you not love him?
Yeah, I love his chapters. They're just so... And I'm not saying like there's nothing wrong with... There's tons of shit wrong with Jaime Lannister, but that's why it's interesting. And the same thing with Cersei, right? I always say Cersei chapters are the most fascinating chapters to me, and that's because there's a lot of shit wrong with Cersei. And we've talked about it on our Feast Dance episodes recently, talking about, how Tywin has changed his children and what that's leading to in this decay in Feast Dance. And that's why Jaime and Cersei are so fun to read, because it's not all smiles and rainbows. They have severe psychological issues that show up in the text and that they have to battle through. And for me, it makes very interesting reading. So I love these characters. I love Asha too. But I do think Jaime's going to win that one. We did have a funny tweet from Mad Michael. That's at Michael Yayan. It's the best I can do there, bud. He said, Euron already killed Jaime Lannister. What more does he want?
True that.
Little nod to the show there. Funny bit there. Appreciate that. Next, we did have Aegor Rivers versus Garland Tyrell. This one, Garland pulled away with. I was okay with that. I didn't feel particularly strong this way. I voted for Aegor, but Garland did win. He got 61.6% of the vote. He only received 1,080 votes, which was 26th. It's pretty kind of low among victors, right? 26 out of 32. He won with a 23.2% margin, and that's an okay margin, but it's against a historical character that's also kind of on the wrong side of history. I don't know that Garland has too much more life left in this tournament. How about yourself?
Yeah, he's up against Oberyn Martell, so
yikes.
Farewell. It was nice seeing you, Garland. I'm glad you had one victory.
Yep, good seeing you again this year, Garland. You will be done next year here, or next matchup here. So that's all I had on that one. If we do move on to day 8 here, we had my boy Mance Rayder versus Otto Hightower. Sorry, Scad. This one wasn't close. Mance pulled away with one of our larger margins of the tournament, 91.4%. God, people don't like the Hightowers, huh? Mance received 1,356 votes, which was 10th. However, this was a pretty low total vote in this specific matchup, only 1,484 total votes. It's pretty low. But Mance pulled away with it. 82.8% margin. I don't remember. I think that's second or third. We'll get to that at the end of the episode. But yeah, any surprise here, Christina, on that one?
I'm ready to stand Mance.
Me too.
Yeah, I might have a song idea or two, hopefully.
You should. You can. Oh my God, Brian can still get his Rhaegar song out with Mance Rayder. That's what he has to do.
No. We have our own.
Okay, song. I'll have to do a Mance Rhaegar song then.
I guess
that's my job.
Do a song?
I'll maybe Yeah,
Well,
sure. Fine.
it sucks because there's two songs we can do, but Mances versus Elena next
Who's
time.
gonna win that? Yeah, this is
I don't know. Olena's such a tough competitor because she's
you
so
know
sassy.
this is retribution for Nimble Dick Crab, who was outed by Olena last year.
I don't
So
know.
Mance is gonna get her.
Unfortunately, I hate to confirm that we might be coming out with something. I don't, in case like something horrible, I get sick or something. But just
It's in the works.
yeah. But
Eventually. Do
too
you want to
bad.
take me up on a
Too.
bet? Do you want to bet something, Mance versus Elena? How
Well, I
about
don't want to
if?
bet against Mance. I'm gonna go for Mance. I don't want to bet
Okay,
against
all right,
lose
all right.
money.
Yeah,
But I'm
that's fair.
afraid. I'm scared.
It's gonna be tight. Elena's a tough matchup, no doubt. She beat Nimble Dick last year. That makes her,
Yeah. I know that's why I'm like, ooh, I'm not sure, but I really do want Mance to go
yeah,
forward.
me too. We did have a tweet in from at Slanksta. Didn't know Rhaegar was getting a second crack at the bracket. Always appreciate the Mance Rhaegar tweets. So yeah, we'll see. I think that'll be a close one. Next, we had Samwell Tarly versus Young Griff, Aegon the Sixth, and Sam ran away with this one, 79.1% of the vote, a 58.2% margin. I like Young Griff, nothing against the kid. I'm interested to see what goes down in the rest of his story and how he processes learning that he, in fact, is not Aegon. I think that'll be interesting. He's clearly this major parallel to Jon, serves very important, pieces to the overall narrative, but not voting against Samwell Tarly. I think he's hanging out over my shoulder here. I voted for Sam. No surprises here, huh, Christina?
Yeah, it's like Battle of the Nice Guys, but
Yeah.
Sam's our nice guy. We don't know who this
Yeah.
fake Targ is.
We had a funny tweet from, I'm just reading the Benioff and Weiss tweet. If you haven't been following Benioff and Weiss on Twitter, they've been hilarious in this tournament. They tweeted at us, adapting young Griff would have required casting an old Griff, medium Griff, and all their friends. That would take time away from crucial plots like the mutineers at Craster's Keep, Jaime and Bronn's Dornish adventure, and Sansa Bolton. Besides, we made Jon an Aegon, so same thing.
I like so same thing. Oh man.
Yikes, that account's
60
one of the best
likes
ones.
there. Oh my god.
I think I know who that is, but I won't say it on the podcast. I have a theory. I'll message you later.
Yeah, there's no well, even if we know, there's no I feel like we need a rule like no outing.
No outing. No public outing. I'll pressure you over DMs to tell me.
Yeah, there might be you have 8 accounts. I'm not going to say which ones they
Nobody knows who I am. They think they do. Honestly, the fake accounts thing is one of my favorite things that, and it's just all in good fun, right?
Exactly. That's the thing. Yeah. It's like, do we need to know who they are? Maybe, maybe not.
I mean, yeah, it would be really fun to know who certain people are, but
it's super meta because it's like how everyone wants there to be, a secret Targaryen or whatever. It's like we all are.
Yeah.
It's something.
It is. It's like the secret Targaryens, which Twitter accounts are these people? Yeah. So, no, I really do enjoy it, though. It's one of my favorite parts of the tournament. You see so many come out, too. Like Benioff and Weiss I'd never seen before this one. Don't know if somebody...
look at the name. How can you get Benioff and Weiss?
I know. It's literally just Benioff and Weiss. Shame on us for not thinking of that sooner, honestly. Oh, boy. Our next matchup, we had Miranda Royce versus Rigo Draws. Not a ton to say here. I like Miranda Royce. She actually has kind of a cult following within the fandom, within ASOM. And she ran away with this one against Rigo. Rigo, I like you in Fire and Blood, but you're not quite there yet. Didn't quite get enough of you. Miranda had 78.8% of the vote. Again, kind of not a huge total amount of votes, only 1,426, which that's what's so cool about this tournament and how it's grown is that's like nothing, that's a low amount, only 1,400 votes. She did finish 23rd in total votes with just a little over 1,100. She won by 57.6%. Next week, she moves on against Visenya.
I feel like Visenya has such a following.
She does, but she also is attached to Magor. That would be how I would try and argue against her. I think it could be close.
We'll see. I do have
to
say, I kept, like, the reason why I voted for Miranda is because I'd always say it in my head as, like, Rego. Rego, which just reminds me of, like, bad weed. So, sorry.
Sorry.
Like, oh, you got that Rego draws.
That Rego draws?
Oh, God.
I'm never going to be able to not think that now.
Sorry.
We did have a tweet in from @Kayla C Star. She said, "I'm sure Rego can do my taxes for me." I'm just thinking about bad weed now. "I'm sure Rego can do my taxes for me, but Miranda will most definitely bring out my most confidence, vivacious self. So I'm voting for my girl Randa." Yeah, girl, get it.
My girl Randa.
Yeah,
I love that.
I love.
Well,
Randa
that's the thing is, like, she's spunky and everything, so she gets the people going.
She does.
No Rego there.
No. She's got that good shit.
Yep. Yeah, she's got that chronic.
Yeah. We then had another interesting matchup. Aemon the Dragon Knight versus Alan Oakenfist. This was a... We're commenting a lot in it. Aemon did win 67.3% of the vote, just over 1,100 votes. He finished 24th in total votes, 34.6% margin. But man, I love Alan Oakenfist, and like Aemon's great and everything, but I
don't understand it. I don't understand why. How did Oakenfist not win?
I don't know, because every person
it's a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy. I don't understand.
It really is. Every person commenting on this was like shocked that Alan wasn't winning this, and it wasn't like it was like 55-45. Like, he lost by 34%. You know,
that's the thing.
I don't know where
didn't even get 1,000 votes. He got 540 votes. That's not a lot.
That's like my bot accounts. You know,
where are the like 1,200 people? I mean, it's a one. So he got. See, Aemon the Dragon Knight won votes. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fake for sure. Russian interference. Fake. That's Russian interference for sure.
Yeah, totes
Russian interference on Aemon. Aemon's fine. I'm not talking like, the thing is, once Fire and Blood 2 comes out and we like get more of Aemon, like, we'll probably love the guy more. But I want real characters that I've read, like Alan Oakenfist, who, God, I'm so sad. The Valerians.
I know this one hurt me.
This one hurt because it, like, Corlys lost and Rhaenys lost. The House of Valerion just got decimated.
Well, if it's any consolation, Bobby B's coming back from the grave to face the Dragon Knight and take him out himself.
Yeah, he gets to kill another Targaryen.
Yes, exactly. That's probably what happened. There we go.
Yeah, boy, I think he'll win that one too. I'm so sad about our Valerian, Corlys and Alan and Rhaenys. Oh well. Maybe next year I'll have to be really, really annoying about House Valerian. That works, right? When I'm annoying online, people vote for people.
No, I think you have the opposite effect.
I do. I need to start.
Yeah, you need videos. You need, like, get the people moving.
Well, here's what I need to do. I need to stand the people that I actually want to lose. And then people just go against me. Because it's easy to punching bag me and vote. That's fine. Vote against me. I enjoy it. It's fun. So, vote for Aemon.
It's because everyone loves you.
That's right. Yeah. That's what it is. All right. I think that's the end of our matchups here, huh? We got to the end. How about that? So yeah, then we did have, do you want to take away and go through? We have our top performers from round 1.
Yes. So if you're counting just number of votes, sheer number of votes that are going, which I think, this is my hypothesis. We'll test it out. I'll let you know in a couple weeks what I think about this metric. But I think total of number of votes is something that will be interesting, because when I was looking last year and I did my little model on the bracket, a lot of it had to do with like the power of voting. And I know that like total number of votes has something to do with this, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
The power that people are voting with is definitely a factor, in my opinion, on what's going to happen. But, you know, there is something to taking out, you know, oh, they had an easy opponent or, you know,
Right.
whatever is going
Yeah.
on. So, you know, this is something that will stabilize over the coming weeks or the coming rounds. So, number 1, Duncan, because he faced Joffrey. 2, Robb Stark. 3, Lyanna Stark. 4, Brynden Tully. 5, Syrio Forel. 6, Asha Greyjoy. 7, Helen Reed. 8, Egg. 9, Cersei Lannister. And 10, Mance Rayder. Just sheer number of votes. And then if you want to go into the percent ranks, they're a little different. So 1, Dunk. 2, Mance Rayder. 3, Robb Stark. 4, Lyanna Stark. 5, Brynden Tully. 6, Rhaenyra. I always get this wrong.
Rhaenyra. That's how I say it. You
Rhaenyra.
can say it however you
I know.
want.
I always say it's something. It's all these
You can say it however you want.
eyes are getting me. All right. 7, Gendry. 8, Missandei. 9, Helen Reed. And 10, Septim Maribald. Which is, you know, that's why I'm thinking like these margins. The margins don't even out until at least 3 rounds.
I agree. Yeah. I think
so
after
those are even more impacted, where I think earlier definitely you're thinking like the number of votes, like the actual like number of people or spam accounts or whatever you want.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like if you're more, and you know, people have said it's like, you know, you're more willing to go on your other accounts when you're worried, right? When you really care. So, you know, that impacts things too. So I think right now in the early rounds, the number of votes is going to be a little bit more indicative to, you know, further performance. Again, taking into account like these severe outliers like Dunk, I think he could fall to Dany pretty easily, but like Robb Stark, I think is pretty safe. And, you know, Asha, Mance Rayder, maybe, you know, we'll see how it goes. But obviously, the first round is kind of an outlier on everything, and it's a good way to test our stats. So
yeah, we like to get them in. These are the stats that we're going to be using, so we're going to start tracking and talking about them. They will stabilize. I totally agree. Where, you know, Dunk could lose next round, and he's our, if you want to call, our number 1 seed by those metrics, but he could lose to Dany very easily, right? And that's why, you know, we're introducing new characters, or the tournament is introducing new characters, and that is going to affect the metrics. But, you know, I think it will be interesting to see that once we have 2 or 3 rounds of data, I bet a lot of these matchups you're going to be able to look at, okay, who has the higher total number of votes, average total number of votes, and who has a higher average margin of victory. And I bet a very large portion of the time that will indicate who wins the next matchup. And that's what we're really going to test. And then we're going to, of course, break that down into House Stark, because we have seen this effect take place with him before, where House Stark can break that, right? Where even if they're down on those metrics, they're able to win.
Well, the thing that I think, so this is my hypothesis, is because we were just tracking the win percentage, I think that they might have a higher number of votes.
Yeah. I think so.
I don't remember because I wasn't tracking it last year.
Right.
But like if you take, you know, like just the Arya versus Davos thing, right? It's like I bet each round Arya just had a lot of straight number people voting for her. I don't know because I don't have those numbers on me, but we're gonna test out this throughout the rounds, and I will definitely, you know, eat my words if I'm wrong. But it's something definitely to look at, and I will be playing with all of these numbers. There's so many numbers to play with. So, and honestly, the win percentage, when you start doing the means of that, is a really good indicator in the later rounds, like round 4 and up.
Yeah, it really is, because it played out last year, and I think, and again, you know, these are hypotheses that we think, and we'll see how they play out. And that's the whole point, is we like to, you know, see if it breaks, and then if it does break, why did it break? You know, what else was factoring into that? Was it something like Nimble Dick where it's this groundswell of support? Not necessarily that. We'll see what happens this year, but yeah. So it will be interesting to see out. Christina, do you have anything else to add here on our? We're at the end of round one here.
Well, I guess vote Tywin if you haven't. Please.
I think he's still safe.
For me. Please vote for all the people I want to win.
Me too. Yeah. Nimble Dick, Mance Raider, if you're listening.
Oh yeah, definitely Mance, definitely Mel. Stannis, Avi.
Tywin's close. It's actually 50.9. He's only at 50.9% right now.
Please. I made my studio.
Yeah, we have to get this released so you can sway the vote with all of our listeners.
Yes.
Anyway, guys, that is going to be it for our round one recap. We're at the end of round one. We will be back for probably mid round two. I think we haven't actually decided when we're going to record for round two, but yeah, should expect a similar schedule here. It's been a ton of fun. Thank you guys to Davos Fingers, to George R.R. Martin, to everybody in the fandom who participates. We all really appreciate it. Thank you to Lady Triple for all the incredible work you put in. There's a lot of stats, a lot of time that goes into going through and really making this doc and everything that we're talking about. So, yeah, thank you everybody for joining us here today. Christina, I'll give you the last word here.
Well, thank you, Kyle. Farewell, Valar Morghulis.
Valar Morghulis. Farewell, guys. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.